What's up, Silver Stackers? Thank you so much for being here. This is Silver Slayer. Now, I definitely think Biden's going to have a huge war against silver, but I don't think this is going to happen next week, not next month, not even next year. I think it's going to be around the year 2026, maybe 2027, but I say around that time. And that's also the time I say triple digit silver, because by then it will be blatantly obvious that there is a huge silver shortage and that we do not have enough silver for the world to go green. Now, before we jump into this very important conversation, I hope you stick around for this because we got a lot to go over. But I did want to mention that bullionmax.com is going to, on Thursday, be having a 5-gram Volcambi bar, a gold bar, sale at spot price, literally at spot. So whatever spot price is of gold, that's what the bar will be sold at. The deal is going to last, I don't know how long, but it does start on Thursday, so stay tuned. I actually unboxed one of those, and what do you know, it's right there. I actually unboxed one of those on film last week, if you want to go check out what it looks like. So yeah, anyways, will green infrastructure spur silver demand? I think that's a pretty obvious question, but to what degree? You know, I don't think Joe Biden, I don't think even most technological companies, technology companies, even probably, to go as far to say Elon Musk doesn't understand how serious the silver shortage is, or I guess probably the severity right now. And if they're not, buying boatloads of silver right now, how detrimental that's going to be to their business. I mean, not only if there's not enough silver, but if the price goes up. Mike Maloney wrote a letter to Elon Musk saying, or doing the math, saying, yo, if you have to pay $50 for silver, and you say you're going to make this many Teslas by the year 2030, you're going to have to pay X amount of dollars. But if you wait till silver is $100, you're going to have to pay, I think he said like $3.1 billion compared to the $785 million. So yeah. So not only the shortage, but just the price itself if it goes up. Big things are going to happen, and it's looking like regardless, silver is going to be the one on top. So anyways, it talks about silver being the best electrical conductor. I mean, it's the most highly conductive metal for electricity, thermal conductivity, and even light sensitivity. So silver is widely used across a variety of industrial applications, including industries of tomorrow. And this is also why my name is Silver Slayer, because it's silver that's pushing forwards in the green revolution, right? Silver is the one that's scarce. Silver is the one that's going to explode. So gone are the days when the silver market was only of interest to numismatics, right? Collectors and brokers like myself these days, this does greatly affect the automotive and solar industries, which is electric vehicles. EVs use a lot of silver, about 58 grams of silver per EV. They're trying to cut it down to around 20 something, which you're going to see that with all technology. They're going to try to use the minimum amount of silver, but that still isn't going to put a dent into, the shortage. I mean, that just cutting down a couple grams isn't going to help the silver shortage to any degree when we're talking about the reality of things. And like this one article I was covering, I forget who mentioned it. It might have been Keith Newmar. It could have been Ted Butler. One of them was just saying, if anyone thinks we realistically have enough silver for the world, the complete world to go green, you're living in fantasy land. Said it's not possible. We simply don't have that much. But anyways, as the owner of a precious metal investment firm, public investments in renewable energy and non-carbon emitting vehicles have caught my attention. As the world moves closer or even closer to a low carbon economy, I think silver will play a critical role in our economic transformation. Precious metals investors should take note. Now, the important thing about this is silver's price and silver's demand is directly correlated. So when silver demand is skyrocketing, when the demand goes up, the price goes up with it. So we know that silver demand is going to be booming over the next decade, which basically means the price will be moving with it. Imagine Joe Biden coming out and saying, yo, we can't do the Green New Deal is at a pause. It's at a standstill. because we don't have enough silver. Imagine Elon Musk coming out saying, we have to put a halt to Tesla or the production of Teslas, or have to, we can only make so many this year because we don't have enough silver. Imagine that. Imagine that. I mean, we're talking about the entire world going green. That's solar panels everywhere. I even watched a documentary the other day, like third world countries in Africa, even their little cities are starting to go completely solar. It's crazy. It's everywhere now. So yeah, I mean, that's a serious thing to consider when you're looking at whether you're investing in a silver or gold. Gold is mainly just used as a store of value. It's going to be silver that takes on a life of its own, that really has opportunity and potential. So anyways, below, he's written a short analysis of where I think silver is headed in the years ahead, thanks to large existing and proposed public investments in eco-friendly infrastructures. Silver in the clean energy revolution. On a global scale, more nations have made it clear that they're not kidding around when it comes to clean energy investment. Here's a quick summary of some recent developments as well as proposed investment in EVs and solar energy production and infrastructure. Globally, $141 billion was spent on solar energy technology development in 2019. In the US, solar energy is expected to comprise 48% of renewable power in 2050, up 11% from 2017. And when you look at like the production, I think global production of silver and by 2026 is only supposed to be like 950 million ounces or something, where we already had a demand that seeded 1 billion ounces this year. Imagine how many billions of ounces it's going to be in 2026. Imagine by 2030 how many billions of ounces per year we're going to need. That's not even realistic to try to cover with production itself. Where are we going to get the silver from? U.S. solar capacity eclipsed 100 gigawatts for the first time in 2021. Globally, the number of EVs on the road rose 43% in 2020 over the previous year. 43% from 1 year apart. Every single automobile company by the year 2030 is going to be electric. Every single one. I'm not exaggerating. By the year 2030, every single automobile company will be completely electric. Imagine how much silver that's going to require. Zero net emissions by the year 2040. All require silver, large amounts of it. We don't have it though. There's already a silver shortage to some extent. As part of his infrastructure plan, President Biden has proposed $174 billion direct support for EVs, with a goal of creating 500,000 EV chargers nationwide. These developments mark a major milestone in the global transition away from fossil fuel dependent economies, with ample funding, which is also, hurting the dollar, which is also beneficial to silver. So we have so many different angles of why silver is such a perfect investment. With ample funding and the right production incentives in place, I expect to see continued large-scale investments in the photovoltaic PV panels, which, by the way, PV cells, photovoltaic solar panels, that's silver, which are required for solar power generation. You also have like windmills, you have 5G towers, silver lithium-ion batteries. In the medical world, there's colloidal silver. I mean, there's so many different uses for it, and every day new uses are coming. So global EV demand should also ramp up as the U.S. power grid and highway system adapt to non-carbon emitting transportation options. Silver is essential in the production of both solar panels and EVs. Silver's conductivity and corrosion resistance make it necessary for conductors and electrodes. Nearly every electrical connection in an EV uses silver, and in total, the auto sector uses 55 million ounces of it annually. And you can see nothing's going to replace silver. Nothing's going to replace it. Its conductivity and corrosion resistance make it necessary for conductors and electrodes. Right? It's not like some new metal is going to be discovered. We're talking about metals on the periodic table, or elements on the periodic table. We're not going to find some new metal that's going to replace it. Copper is close, kind of, but the quality is not, it's not worth it. The only thing we could do is try to cut down the amount of silver we use in EVs. We can never replace it. So anyways, He goes in to say people rely on batteries for their energy storage needs, and all forms of non-fossil fuel energy production need to be stored. Therefore, if EV demand rises in step with government spending on EV infrastructure, I expect to see a commensurate increase in demand for silver, which means the price as well. Silver has unique electric conductivity properties that make it desirable for electric automakers. If the president's proposals come to pass for the U.S. electric car market, that investment could be reflected in the price of silver. Just like I said, demand reflects the price. In 2018, the International Energy Agency predicted there will be 125 million, with the chance up to 220 million, EVs on the road by 2030, like I was saying. By comparison, only 3 million were in operation at the end of 2017. As the world continues to reinvest more and more every year into EV production and infrastructure, there's a good reason to believe that these targets will be met or even surpassed. Technically, the same is true for all battery-powered consumer electronics. As nations move towards more eco-friendly economies, formerly gas-powered devices, such as lawnmowers, pressure washers, maybe, or also will move to electricity only. They too would require batteries that utilize silver. Like when I talk about like silver lithium-ion batteries, like everything, thereby increasing demand for the metal. They're also by increasing the price. Solar infrastructure and demand. I mean, by now, if you're watching this video and you don't invest into silver, or maybe you're thinking, maybe it's not that good of an investment, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's so blatantly obvious. When people look back and they see that this information was already readily available, and they didn't invest because maybe they were second guessing it, they're gonna think that, I mean, it's gonna be so silly. Like, so many people are gonna be kicking themselves in the butt saying, wow, it was so blatantly obvious that silver was the best investment at this time. It was blatantly obvious. Especially if you're someone who's like come across one of my videos and knows all this. I mean, a lot of people probably will never know until it's too late, but imagine the people that see this type of information and still don't. Those are the ones that are really going to be kicking themselves in the butt. So anyways, for anyone interested in the silver market, renewable energy should be on top of mind. 2020 global silver PV demand was thought to exceed 3,000 tons. As new solar infrastructure is developed in the years ahead, this figure could only continue to rise. And solar energy investment always bodes well for silver too. On a related note, a surge in stimulus and infrastructure spending could give rise to inflation levels that could stimulate the price of silver. High federal spending has already shot inflation to its highest level in almost 13 years, and if this persists due to more government spending, I believe the country could see a repeat of 1970s era stagflation, in which the stock market stagnated and precious metals increased in price. What this means for investors as the world continues to invest heavily into renewable energy, it's simultaneously putting silver on the road to long-term growth. Thanks to public investment in EVs and solar energy as well bodes well for potential inflation risks when he expects good things ahead, or for the white metal. I mean, when you're investing in something, does it make sense? Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, that's not investing, that's gambling. And gamblers throw money at the wall and hope it sticks with the odds against them. If you're putting your money into something that doesn't make sense, the odds are against you. That's risky. Investors make strategic decisions based off information. Based off this information, we are looking at something that we're changing the odds into our favor because this makes sense. It's more likely that this will do good because it makes sense given all the information. If experts' analysis are to believe that in the years ahead, technologies that rely on silver for its conductive properties will continue to be produced in greater numbers, and if that happens, silver's industrial demand would steadily climb, likely driving up the price. Like I said, if demand rises, so does the price, especially if there's a shortage. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. However, as with any investment type, investors should also be cautious. There are negative price signals that could emerge that might indicate a diminishing value for silver. For example, I'm curious to see what he's about to say. Recent innovations in the solar industry are forecast to cause PV-driven solar demand to wane. Due to efficiency upgrades, some new PV cells will require as much as 50% less silver than current panels. See, that was what I was talking about earlier. This is not going to put a dent in anything, especially when you incorporate all the other uses for it, from 5G to electric vehicles, yada, yada, yada. You know, like, yes, they're going to learn how to use less of it, obviously, but we're talking about such a high demand that that won't make a difference. So anyways, yeah, nonetheless, ramping up solar panel production might offset the demand losses incurred by more. That's what I was just talking about, right? I mean, there's going to be such a high degree that's going to offset the losses. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, I think it's blatantly obvious that silver is the best investment. It makes the most sense. You know, even more so than gold. And the craziest part is, like, even if, let's say, we stuck to like say green energy was never a thing. Let's say the Green New Deal never happened. We were sticking to our old ways. I would still be sitting here telling you to invest in the silver because of the dollar. Because the dollar is crashing, because the corrupt financial system to store your money into something that has intrinsic value. But we also have this, and not only just this, there's even a better reason silver has even more potential because there's a shortage of it. Because let's say silver wasn't scarce, we still need a lot of silver coming up, so that would still be a great invest. Silver would still make sense because we need a lot of silver. But there's also a shortage of it, which makes even more sense, gives it even more opportunity. So all these different ways you look at it, silver makes sense. Silver is going to come out on top. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, you can get this 5-gram Volcambi bar at spot. That's pretty scary because this ad showed up on this article, and that's from me being on this other page typing it in, but then the same bar came up on a whole different tab. That's crazy. But yeah, that 5-gram Volcambi bar, you can get it at spot price on Thursday at bullionmax.com. You also have a really cool silver starter kit deal you're about to see in a second. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I got one last thing to say. I want to take a second to give a shout out to my channel sponsor, bullionmax.com. I'm honored to be working with one of the best bullion dealers online. Great prices, great deals, and by far the best packaging out of any company that I've ever seen. They even offer a silver starter kit, which is 5 ounces of silver at below employee pricing with extremely high premium coins for a great deal. It's only one per household, but a great way to lower your dollar per ounce average a bit and get a chance to grab some great coins. So shout out to Bullion Max, such a great company, always sending me silver to give away to my subscribers as well. bullionmax.com, and if you want the starter kit, go to bullionmax.com/silverslayer.